more step in the relationship. Mission and vision. We're here to protect, to prepare, provide, and partner. Read it. Know it. Have an idea of the direction. Remember, it doesn't matter your position. The administrative team, the receptionist up there at the front desk, they will deal with things that some of you have no idea what they do. They've been yelled at. They get called certain names. And they just stay patient. They look at them and talk through them. And it might be the first time that that parent has ever met someone that didn't lose their temper, didn't lose control, and just simply, listen, I've been in situations where the administrative assistant just turns up Amazing Grace while they're talking to them so that they can hear it, right? Probably talking to an unbeliever. So we have to be different, on purpose, about what we're doing. Seder way. You need to know that the Seder way starts with the core values. Once again, you have this, and you look through it. Our core values, biblical worldview formation leads us to Christ-like. When we are Christ-like, we can become. We don't start, here's the thing, we don't go get responsible so that we can be Christ-like, right? No. We get closer to Christ, He helps us to do what? Get a little bit more responsible. Get a little bit more humble. So when you go through this, look at Christ-centered community, pursuers of excellence, growing leaders, operational integrity. These are some things that are very important to us. All right? And lastly, like I said before I introduce our guest speaker this morning is 8:50 a.m. 8:50 a.m. Okay? It should be a non-negotiable. Coaches, should be. I'm not coming to your workplace, but I'm telling you, if you work here, you ought to have an alarm set for 8:50 a.m. And whatever you're doing and it goes off, I promise you, I don't think you're getting fired. Maybe you would. But when it goes off, stop and say, I'm praying for something. Can I tell you, teachers, if you're a teacher that you're like, I'm not letting that interrupt my class. I promise you. Last year it was like 2 minutes into class. Okay, stop. Pray. A kid should come out here, hopefully, putting that alarm on his. 8:50. Just pause. Guess what we're doing? Rowing. Same direction. Everybody praying at 8:50 a.m. specifically for Steffner Christian Academy. That's something I asked you to do. Set those alarms. Let them go off. I hope you're in a meeting with a bunch of crazy people. 8:50 goes off. The alarm goes off. You stop and pray. They say, why'd you do that? You go, oh, let me tell you about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I hope it leads to someone coming to know the Lord. All right, that's what I hope happens. Right? So we're going to be on purpose about what we're doing as we go through this. And our theme this year is in Him. All right? Okay, I don't want you to be confused out of here. So some people may go out here and say, okay, wait a second. We have a mission. We have a vision. We have this thing called Seder Way. We're in Him, and we're taking a trip. What in the world? Okay? We're taking a trip in Him. Holding to core values. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a great trip this year. We're going to enjoy this journey. And every one of you are going to take it a little different. Okay, so why are those cars out there? Just different cars. Different trips. You may jump in one and go fast. Kevin's going to get an RV. We're going to go slow. All right. But we're going to go on a journey. And here today is my friend. I met him back in the late 90s. We were together at school, and I will tell you this, never worked with somebody who works hard. He established a program. He's been in several different places in Texas, West Virginia. He's now in Ohio as an associate head coach of a basketball team there. For me, I mean, it's great to bring someone in who's in the coaching world, because you know, I like it. Next year, Kevin, I'll have a fine arts speaker. I probably won't, but it sounds good. All right, coach coming up. And listen, he's had a lot of success everywhere he's been. Honestly, very good friend, does a great job. And so we're going to go on a trip with him. Everybody hear that? Going on a trip with him. If you'll do this, anytime that maybe he talks about it, this is where you can take some notes, because that's your map, that's your destination points. And so we're going to give it up for Coach Osborne. I appreciate him taking time to come over here. So let's give him a good round of applause.
Okay, it's great to see you. In 2023-24, I'm finishing my 19th year as a college head coach. In 24-25 this past year, I left being a head coach to become an associate head coach at a Division I institution, Youngstown State University in Ohio. Okay? That's a woman with character. That's a woman with character right there. So in 2023-24, my final year as a head coach, we are in the midst, really almost at the end of what became arguably the best season in the University of Charleston's basketball history. We had been 24-7, 25-6. We're rolling along in what would become a 29-5 season. We're ranked top 10 nationally. As we go through this season, we win a regular season conference championship. We get in the tournament, overwhelming favorite to win it. And if you've been a part of sports, you know one of the most dangerous and tough things is being the favorite. The expectations that go with that. So not only the expectations we had for ourselves, but the expectations that others put on us for that tournament. We go on to win the conference championship tournament as well. So regular season champions, tournament champions. We now are in the NCAA tournament. Raise your hand if you're familiar with March Madness. Excellent. So we are going to play in March Madness. Hard to even get to the event. It is so difficult to just get there and be a part of that event. Division II is broken up into regions, 8 regions across the country. So it's not just the 64 best teams. You actually have to be one of the 8 best teams in your region to get in there. And there's 8 regions. So the 8 best teams from the 8 regions, that's how they get the 64. We have 3 of the top 8 teams in the country in our region. So we get in this national tournament, field of 64, and we are playing in the first round, and we play Concord University, and we win by 38. Set a school record for largest margin of victory in the national tournament. The next day, we have to turn around and play again, and we hit a shot with 4 seconds to go to win the game. Essentially, the other team, timeout, comes down, misses the shot at the buzzer. Everybody goes crazy. We're going to the Sweet 16. We have now earned the right to move on and play for the opportunity to go to the Elite 8. So the Sweet 16 game ends. At the NCAA tournament, you have mandated press conferences and things you have to do, interviews after a game. We go through all that stuff. After going to the locker room, it's a crazy scene. Kids are throwing water and all that stuff everywhere. You'd be shocked what 18 to 22-year-old men would do, unless you're a female and you know how crazy we are about stuff, and so you're probably not shocked at all. But we go through this, we get through the interviews, we finally get back to the hotel. We get to the hotel, we walk in, there's parents, there's family, there's friends. It's a crazy scene, right? So then we got to spend a little bit of time walking through, hey, whatever. We finally get to the room. We get to the hotel room, my staff and I, 3 assistants and myself. We walk in. I'll never forget, I'm walking in the door. And as I'm walking in the door, I'm kind of like, just take everything off. My shirt, I'm trying to get it untucked. It's like half untucked and half tucked in. I look like I've been through a tornado, right? I fall in the chair. And because it's D2 life, we don't have the big D1 budgets that I'm fortunate to be a part of now at Youngstown. It's totally different. And so as we go through this and we finally get to sit down, and here's the pizza, we're having Little Caesars, D2 life, baby, right? We get a Little Caesars pizza, and I take a bite. One guy's sitting on the bed, one guy's sitting at the little table in the chair, the other guy's on the bed. I'm sitting over here in a chair that we brought in earlier for film session stuff. And I sit down and take a couple bites of this pizza, and I said, what a ride. And I'm looking around at them. And after 5 or 6 seconds later, I kind of just say it again, like it's almost like it's a rhetorical thing, not meant that way, and I'm not even trying to get a response, but I just said again, like, what a ride. One of my assistants a couple seconds later says, best ride ever. As we sat there in that moment, I thought about in my mind, our mission statement was the first thing that entered. And our mission statement was to max the moment. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that looks like a little bit later. But max the moment, and all the things that meant to me is just flooding my mind. Just like our championship ring. When I look at the championship ring, if I brought it today and showed it to you, you might say, oh, that's pretty, that's beautiful, that looks great, what a great design. When I see that ring, I don't see the pretty. I don't see the design. I am immediately flushed with all the things that it took to get there, to have a chance to hold the ring, to have the ring live with me. And so what I'm hoping today is that as I'm thinking about what did we do to get there, how did we make that happen, my hope today is that here at Steffner Christian, we're going to think about what were some of those keys. Not all of the keys, we don't have enough time to do that. I'd have to be here for a month. But some of the keys that made that happen, and so my hope is that May 22nd, 2026, you've just finished graduation at Steffner Christian. And I've already talked to Coach Knox, as I call him Coach Knox. I've already talked to Coach Knox, and he's told me, he's going to be mad at me for telling you this, but he's already got like filet mignon, lobster, the whole works plan for this big, everybody gets to eat together to celebrate the year. And I hope that you, when you sit down at these tables, and that you sit down and there's a third grade teacher beside you, the facilities director across from you, and the middle school principal over here, as you're sitting there, I hope that you have the opportunity to say, what a ride. What a ride. That's what we're going to try to create and build to today. So again, my name is Dwaine Osborne. I'm almost 3 decades into college coaching, which is crazy to even think about. Early in my career at St. Andrews, I was with Coach Knox, and just a great dude, and so I'm super thankful for him. And for me, as I finish or approach, 30 years of coaching, I've been fortunate to be a part of championship teams and things of that nature. We also started a leadership academy about 5 years ago. I do performance coaching for champions on the side. And so I think I'm a driven person. I don't know that I have very many good qualities, but that's the one. Or one of two maybe, right? But I'm a pretty driven person, and so I love doing that and being a part of those things. I also am a dad. My son is 21, halfway through college, getting ready to start his junior year at Cedarville University in Ohio. My daughter just graduated about a month or two ago from high school, is going to go to Youngstown State, become a Gwen. We're super excited about that, so that she's just home. She's going to be a commuter student. We're not totally empty nesters just yet. We thought we were there, but we're not quite, and I'm super thankful for that. My wife, I want to tell you, Amy, she's amazing. She is in her 18th year of education. She sits where you're at. She knows you, but I don't want to act like I know you, but I know a lot about what you go through in the education world because I see and hear that from her all the time. I can't say I just completely get it because I haven't been in that classroom. I did teach public speaking for 8 years, 16 semesters in college, but I hear the stories from her. She is currently teaching 3rd grade. She's taught 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. She has her degree in special education, so she's taught in the BD classroom for 4 or 5 years. She's now working on her master's degree in curriculum and teacher leadership. She's unbelievable. And so I wanted to just try to play a quick video. She sent me a video last night, and I said, I'm going to throw it in. She wanted to say hello to you. Let's see if I can figure this out. Ryan, we ready, pal? Oh. Sneak peek. Rod, it's been a year or two ago, buddy. That's us together at St. Andrews back in the day. Okay, here we go. Here's my wife.
Hi friends, hope everybody is doing well and has had a wonderful summer. My name is Amy. I am wife to this guy right here, and I'm excited for you to get to hear what he has to share with you today. Now I know I'm a teacher of 18 years, and we all get the same mindset of, oh my goodness, here we go with another professional development, another person to tell me how to do my job. That is not the case today. I can guarantee you there's going to be something that you will take away from what he has to share with you. And so I hope you will open your minds up to that. So buckle up, get your pens ready, and enjoy what he has to share with you.
Okay, that's my bride right there, and she's the best. I mean, she really is somebody that's proven to be so valuable to so many because, again, she sat where you are. You have the opportunity to do the same thing. Encourage each other, encourage others outside. All of you know teachers and people who work in education outside of just Steffner Christian, so use your platform. So many times I think what God does is He puts us through things and allows us to go through things and experience things so that we can help serve others. So many times in life, you're fed through social media. It's about you. Do you. It's your life. It's your world. Whatever that is, right? But that's really not what God sent Jesus to do for us. And so as we go through this today, I hope that you'll be able to find some things that will be beneficial for you. So as we go, we're talking today about the keys to your best ride ever. The keys to your best ride ever. And so the first thing we're going to talk about 5 P's. P as in Paul. 5 P's that hopefully help you today to get your mind ready to go on the best ride ever. All right, the first one is you've got a plan. When you go on a trip, you got to figure out where you're going, what's the destination, and how you're going to make this thing work. What are you going to do? Some of you may be like me. My wife just wants to go, have a great time. We'll figure out what we're going to do when we get there. I want the itinerary from start to finish. I want to know that at 12:53 we're leaving because it's a 7-minute ride to lunch, and if it was up to me, we would pre-order our food. I've gotten used to, because I've been a head coach for 19 years and now being in Division I, when we go take our guys to eat at wherever it is, Red Lobster, and you walk in, like if the food's not on the table in like 35 seconds, it's like the most frustrating experience ever. We walk in with 20 dudes, we sit down, and it should be ready to roll because we pre-ordered it weeks in advance. And so sometimes my mind works like that on even a vacation. But when I think about plan, I think about what Coach just talked about to you. That's your vision. That's your mission. That's your core values. And so for you, it's super important that as you go through that you're ready to do that, execute that, and you can't do it if you don't know it. At Charleston, I told you about the season we went through. One of our driving things in the program, I was there for 11 years, was that we had a mission statement, which was max the moment. And you as a player, needed to be able to tell somebody, if you came in and watched us practice, or you said, hey, I watched you guys practice, I heard you talking about this, but I didn't get it all. Hey, I heard you coach speak at something last week, and you were talking about your values, I can't remember what they are. I would always say, before I tell you, go pick any player that's here and ask them. And they better be able to tell you max the moment. And if you say, what does that mean? They need to be able to address that. They need to be able to tell you, what does max the moment mean to us in our program? Where are we trying to go with that? The 5 core values, we had 5 H's. That was honor, humility, hustle, hospitality, and high capacity. And you had to know those in that order. We had taglines for that. So our tagline for honor, our tagline was how we defined it. Not the Webster dictionary definition. It was just how we wanted to look at the word. And so for honor, as an example, our tagline was so much focused on what we were trying to get them to accomplish. It's not what we demand, it's what we deliver. We're not going to be people that says, hey, give me my respect, put respect on my name, give me the respect I deserve. No, we're going to figure out how can we give respect to other people. What's it look like to respect your parents? What's it look like to respect your roommate? What's it look like to respect your teammate? So on and so forth. And so we had that with all these H's. But a huge reason we had a great ride to me was because everybody knew those on command. Nothing riled me up more. You could mess up a rotation defensively, take a bad shot, I would get frustrated, but I'm on a different level of upset if you aren't dialed in to the mission, the values, what that looks like, and how you can live them out. I challenge you to take your values, take your mission, repeat it, recite it, post it on your mirror where you get dressed in the morning and brush your teeth. But get that in your mind. The more it's in your mind, the more you know it, the better chance you have to actually let it exude out of you. It should exude out of you. So it's super important. Okay? So as we go through that stuff and we look, you got to know that the mission's important, but the most important thing, the actual critical thing, is that we have people on mission. You need to have people on mission. You're on a mission. You have something you're trying to do. When you think about what a mission is, you've been given directives, and so that's super important. So here at Steffner Christian, it's been communicated to you what the vision is. The mission has been explained. It's been told to you. It's been put in front of you to educate and disciple. That's super important that you know that and that you're ready to go and execute that. So every person has to execute this plan, and so every person, that means you got to take ownership. You got to take responsibility for it to make it work. I don't know if anybody in here has ever seen the show Prison Break. Seen it? One of my favorite clips from Prison Break, and really from a lot of things. I use this every year with my teams. Every year. Since this thing came out, I thought it was amazing. And it's a little bit about the importance of execution. Let's play this now.
Do you know the difference between a perfectly executed operation and a failed mission? Sir. It's small unit leadership. The Allies spent 2.5 years planning the invasion of Normandy. But on D-Day, it came down to a handful of men on a strip of beach to decide the fate of the world. What I'm getting at, Gretchen, is even the best plan is only as good as the moving parts on the ground executing it.
When you think about that, the thing that I was talking with our team about, small unit leadership, best plans only as good as the people executing it. Right? So the mission looks great on paper, the vision looks great on paper, the values look great on paper. That makes them what I call poster values. And they're supposed to be core values. When you think about something at its core, an apple, that's at the heart. That's at the center. That's what you have to figure out how to do. That's your charge. That's the mission, is that you take that. And it doesn't matter how great the board or the principals or the head of school gives it to you, it's going to come down on the strip of beach for the fate of the world to what you and I do with the stuff we've been given to do. Some of that you can look at as from, again, the board, the principals, the head of school, but really that's a charge that God's given to you. What they're asking you to do is essentially the same thing God's asked you to do, and that God's asked me to do as believers and followers of Him. So it starts at the top, that works down to the principals, administrative teams, down to the teachers, and the teachers down to your classroom. If you're a teacher and you've been given a classroom, that's a part of it, right? You can give the great directions. We got to be quiet in the hallway, but it's going to be executed by the kids in the line. And we've got to figure out how to help them do that. That's what you would say. If Rodney says, hey, you're not doing a very good job of this, or why didn't you tell them to be quiet? Well, I did tell them to be quiet. They just didn't do it. That's because you need to figure out how to help them do that, right? That's an example of what that looks like. And so we're going to go through that, but everybody's got to take ownership and do that. Now, as we leave point 1 here on planning, if you're a reader, I love to read. My goal, I try to read 25 books a year. Sometimes I get there, sometimes I don't. But 25 books a year is my goal. I'm telling you, if you have not read the book, Lead for God's Sake. Anybody read that book? 2. Okay? You need to read that book. You literally, if you're a reader at all, you can sit down and read the whole book in 5 hours, 6 hours. And I'm not saying you need to do that, but what that does say is if you read for 30 minutes a day, you get it done in 2 weeks. If you read 15 minutes a day, you get it done in a month. The chapters are short. They're not 37-page chapters. It's probably got 40 chapters in the book that are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. I would strongly encourage you to read the book Lead for God's Sake. Okay, so we've planned. Second point we're going to talk about when we are trying to create the best ride ever, going on a trip, is we've got to pack. Okay, so now as we think about that, packing is what you need to have a successful trip. It's what you're taking with you. When you go to pack for this trip, you need to obviously understand where you're going. That was the plan, because you need to pack accordingly. You're going to visit the Sahara Desert, you pack a parka, probably not very smart. Right? You got to think about, we got to make sure we know, and we need to pack relative to the experience we're going to have. So as we do that, we think about where you're getting ready to go. As you're headed out on this best ride ever, let me give you 4 suggestions, there might be 100, of things you might want to consider putting in your suitcase. The first thing that comes to my mind is encouragement. I would pack encouragement, because you're going to need it, and so is the person to your left, and so is the person to your right. I'd pack encouragement. I would pack, secondly, faith. I would think about, man, this is going to be hard. I'm going to have to endure. I'm going to have to push through. So I would pack faith. I would suggest that. The third thing I would suggest you pack is grace. Because you're going to need it, and the neighbor beside you is going to need it, and the kids are going to need it, your team's going to need it. Grace. People are going to mess up. Things are going to go wrong. There's going to be all of those things happen. Not only are they going to mess up, you're going to mess up. I might say this 10 more times depending on how it hits me in the rest of this speech. But no ride is perfect. No ride goes exactly like you wanted it to go. There's always bumps and stuff in the road, so you got to think about that as well. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Let me give you one other thing. I think you should pack joy. I would encourage you to make room in your luggage for joy. That's energy. That's laughter. That's excitement. That's being in the moment. That's being present. And then a couple other things, because I'm giving you items. You've already got some in your luggage. Maybe you're taking the small suitcase. Some people are big packers, some are small packers, right? My son and daughter just came back last night from Chattanooga, Tennessee at my parents' house for 5 days with the grandparents. And my daughter's got 19 of these to go for 5 days. My son, I think it might have been this big. It's 2 hours before we're leaving to go to the airport in Pittsburgh. 2 hours. Leaving at 2, it's about 5 after 12. He's sitting there messing around. I said, Gav, you got your stuff ready to go? I'm assuming passport. Are you packed up, ready to go? Yes. No, I haven't started. Like, what are you doing? He probably went up and went, and whatever he grabbed was in there and he'll make it work. That's probably what happened, right? So you have to think about, what is it going to look like for you? But I'm giving you these things and I'm saying, hey, you need to pack this, pack this, pack this. You've got some other things you want to pack, so now the suitcase is getting full. Let me tell you what you don't need to pack. If you happen to pack these, I would suggest maybe removing them from your luggage. I'd get rid of fear. I'd get rid of complaining. I would get rid of blaming. I would start thinking about comparison. Probably don't need it. And pack the things that are actually going to help you best formulate the best ride ever. Okay, now, as we move through that, and we think about, it made me think Galatians 5, pack the fruits of the Spirit. That might be a good pack list. Somebody, sometimes I do that. I like to say, hey, what have other people done in this situation? What are things I need to consider here? Go look at other people's pack list. Galatians chapter 5 probably be a good thing to start with. At Charleston in our season, we tried to, quote unquote, pack the practical things. We tried to take the practical things, and that was what's going to help lead us to moving toward living out our 5 H's. That was our core values. What are the things that prod us and move us in that direction? That meant not what's best for me, what's best for us. It's not the shot I want to take, it's the shot that's best for our team. If you're thinking about it from a basketball, take your sport if you're a coach and maybe add that to your thing. What does that look like? We would talk about focusing on not being a champion, but becoming a champion. Being is the end, becoming is in the process. Right? It's what you're becoming. Who are you becoming? What are you becoming? What are you moving toward? Those are the things you need to think about when you're packing. We focused lastly on connection. We felt like that was going to be a super important part. We had 7 different guys that season in the 29 and 5 years. 7 different players that scored 20 or more points in a game. Most of the time you might get 3, 4. You got a good team, 5. We had 7 different guys. So we had a saying that we would throw out, and I would try to talk to us about. It wasn't much in the team setting as I would just tell guys when they were in my office. You have to always be thinking. Sometimes you. Sometimes me. Always us. Sometimes you. Sometimes it's your day. It's your night. Sometimes it's me. It's my night. I'm the guy that's got the hot hand today. You had it yesterday. Not because we're passing it around. It's just the way the game goes. I might have it 2 games in a row and not have it again for 12. Sometimes you, sometimes me. But at Steffner Christian, always us. It's always us. And so you need to think about those things as you pack. Last thought I want to give you, and this is one of my maybe preferences, the way I like to do things, is to think about giving you more. When I'm sitting in your situation, I actually love going to conferences and things like that. I want to walk away feeling like I have been flooded. There's no chance I can remember all that. But I'm writing as fast as I can, I'm taking notes, and then I can go and dig my own a little bit more and try to mine for things that are important. This is one of those things. I'm going to hit you with some highlights here. I want you to think about work, your job is worship. Work is worship. You are ascribing worth, right, when you do this. And so when you think about it, I wrote down 4 things that are important when you think about work is worship. The first one is excellence. Everything you do, you are chasing it, you are pursuing it as hard as you possibly can go. The second thing is consistency. That's how you show up. Every day. Day after day. I think a great thing, every morning when you get up, recommit yourself to the mission. Recommit yourself to the values. Recommit yourself to your kids. Recommit yourself to the areas that you've been given responsibility. Third thing, ownership. Take ownership of your responsibilities. What is your job? Then do your job. What is your job? You know what it is. You identify it. Okay, now do your job. Fourth thing I wrote down about with this, work is worship, is your attitude. And you need to have a Christ-like attitude. Dwaine Osborne needs to have a Christ-like attitude. And if I don't get up and think about that, I can quickly get off track with that one. Okay? So as we're getting ready to go on this trip, and we're going to create this best ride ever, I would tell you, school starts next Thursday, is that correct? Am I right on that? So next Thursday, you have 1 week. You still have time if you need to take some stuff out of your bag. And you still got a little bit of time to put some different things in its place in the bag. But think about your trip, where you're going, pack accordingly. Third thing is people. People. So we planned, we packed, and now we're thinking about people. This is a big one. Your mindset above all else is these are my people. My service, my love is about them above all else. No matter what's going on, what projects you got going, what you got to do, your to-do list, that's a Dwaine Osborne problem. Get going on my task list. Anybody familiar with the Enneagram personality test? A few. Okay, I'm a 3, which most of the time I'm like, yeah, I'm a 3. Are you a 3? Another woman with character. I can tell it right there. I love most of the time telling people, like, I'm confident, I'm a 3. But man, when you read the study about it, there's about 3 or 4% of it that is like, oh my gosh, I want to just climb under that chair right there. Right? And that's for every number. That's for every personality. That's for every person. You have good, you have bad. But above all else, it's about your colleagues. It's about the kids. It's about their families and how you're impacting and influencing them. When you think about Jesus, that's how he lived his life. That's how his ministry was. It was others-oriented. He didn't come to die because that was something great for himself. That was a self-serving purpose. So thinking about you and how you go about this, thinking about this ride, who's going with you? Who are you taking? Who's your group? Who's your team? If you're a teacher, you got a classroom. Who are the kids? What do they need to have the best ride ever? When you go on a trip, imagine going on a trip, it's me, you, and Rodney. Rodney and I are going, we're on this trip together, we're having a great time, and you have a terrible attitude, you complain about everything we do, so on and so forth. I don't need to elaborate that out. It's going to be hard for him and I to have the best ride ever because of you. Because of me. Maybe it's me on the ride, right? I got a terrible attitude. You, Rodney, having a great time. Great conversation. You're laughing. And I'm the buzzkill. It's no good. It's not what we're trying to do. So let's think about that. And when you think about that this ride is super important, sometimes you get to choose. I think one of the things when I was thinking about this best ride ever, going on a trip, most of the time you pick the people you want to go on vacation with, so to speak, or who I like to travel with on this trip. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. If you're an NBA fan, a basketball fan, Cooper Flagg was just the #1 pick in the NBA draft. Got picked by the Dallas Mavericks. Signed the rookie contract 3 or 4 years. I don't know exactly what it is. I can't remember how long they do the rookie contracts. But for the next, let's call it 3 years, Cooper Flagg's playing with the Mavs. Doesn't matter if he wanted to play in Milwaukee. Doesn't matter if he grew up an Atlanta Hawks fan. You got drafted by the Mavs, you're playing for the Mavs. And so now he's got to make that the best ride ever with those people that's been handed to him. Maybe it's that way in your classroom. You got some kids that you're like jacked about. You got some kids like, ooh, tough, right? Tough one. And so you think about that. It's super easy. And you can say like, Coach, it's hard to figure that one out. This kid, this parent, that parent, whatever it is, right? I literally hear that in my mind. But Coach, I want to teach this kid, not that kid. I want to work with this colleague, not that colleague. As you go through that, real leadership is in, this is the hand I've been dealt. Not only does Cooper Flagg have to play for the Mavericks, the guy coaching the Mavs has got to coach Cooper Flagg. He's a rookie. Got the world's expectations on him. Everybody acts like, hey, he could be the next legendary player. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Every year there's a couple of guys said to do it, and not very many are able to just transcend things like that. But both of those guys got to figure out how to make it work with the other person. So remember, this trip's not about you. One of my favorite things to do with our team every year is there's a book called The Purpose-Driven Life. Raise your hand if you know about The Purpose-Driven Life. Good, written by Rick Warren. The Purpose-Driven Life, it's the number one most sold book outside of the Bible in the spiritual things. It's the number one most sold book. I don't think I said that very well. Hopefully you figured that out. But when you open that book up, I love to walk into team meeting number one, and I open the book and say, hey, this Purpose-Driven Life is the number one most sold book outside of the Bible when it comes to spiritual things. The book is about purpose-driven life. What do you think people read it for? They're trying to find their purpose. Okay? So this guy wrote this book that's been sold worldwide. Many languages. You open it up, I'm ready to find my purpose. And you go flip through the pages, and you get to chapter 1, the first page of chapter 1. You know what the first 4 words of the book are? It's not about you. Wild. Wild. Sometimes when we go on these rides, I think that we think about who do we have to go with? You know, like who am I traveling with? But I would tell you like to think about what kind of travel companion are you? What kind of travel companion am I? Are you the type that other people want to ride with? They're excited. Oh, I get to go with this person on this trip? Whew, this will be a great ride. Or are they like, ooh, just like, you know, you could be when it comes to maybe the kids in your class or whatever that looks like. So the better question is how are you to deal with? How are you to be around? Do you make the trip harder? Do you make it easier? Is it more fun? Is it less fun? I have to work on that one. My wife, if she was here, she would be laughing right now because she would know in advance what I'm about to say. All the people we know would say my wife is the fun bus. I am not the fun bus. I'd rather like get our task list out. We got 30 free minutes. Let's get a book out and read. Let's try to watch extra film. Let's do whatever. Like that's the way my mind works. And she says, well, don't you like to do things that are fun? Yes, reading a book's fun. Watching film is fun. Trying to get better is fun. Trying to develop my leadership skills is fun, right? To her, I haven't convinced her of that one yet. I'm still working on that one. So one of the biggest things, the biggest part of culture, though, is about people. We're talking about people, and one of the biggest parts of culture is people. Maybe the, by far and away, biggest part of it. And so when you think about that, especially as someone that has influence and authority, and you're going to have impact on your colleagues, on the kids, on families, you need to make sure that you're living out cultural things well. Let me give you an example. Amy and I were talking about this about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. You can't have double standards when you're in leadership, impact, influence roles. Right? So the easiest one, I don't know, it's the best one, the easiest one for me to try to illustrate that to you would be, I think it is so funny how sometimes people will say, you know, like, I'm going to use my wife. My wife could say, I'm so mad at this kid, he keeps showing up late. Well, first of all, he's a 3rd grader. Like, he probably didn't drive himself. Might be something to consider, right? But here's the other thing. She shows up 3 times a week late. You're frustrated because you, as an almost 50-year-old woman, can't get yourself on time to where you're supposed to be, and you're mad at the 3rd grader who's not. Like, come on, right? No double standards. The story I think about most of that, I worked with an athletic director, and every year at the university, well, I won't say which university, I've worked at 5. One of the universities, we would, actually multiple of them, we did this. We would go on the first day, move-in day, college freshmen. All the families are getting there, all the freshmen, they're nervous. You've been through it. If you have kids that age and maybe you've been through it, it's new and fresh to you. We did it 2 years ago with Gavin at Cedarville. But you get there, you got a carload full of stuff. It's like, oh my goodness, right? So we have our whole athletic department, coaches and players that are there already, go out and we help. We did that in multiple institutions, great little service project, and trying to welcome other people. But one of the athletic directors said, hey, we're going to go and we're going to park over on this other end of campus that's a little bit out of the way where we would normally never park. And we're going to do that so that all the lots closest to the dorms and the places they're going to drop kids off are open for the parents and families. Makes sense, like, okay, hey, I don't want to walk 3/4 of a mile, but it's one day, who cares, right? So we all go there and park. We get there, there's one car in the parking lot at 7:30 in the morning. You want to take a guess whose car that was? Athletic director's car. Like the backlash, so to speak, that she may know, he may know that he got or didn't get. Kind of tough, right? Like, that's crushing what you're trying to do because you have impact and leadership. So it makes me think about, are you producing, am I producing what I want and expect from others? You think this is what makes a high character person. This is what makes a great student. This is what makes a great leader. Are you producing those same things? Okay? Now, I want to... I'm going to tell you this. I want to honor your time well. I do not want somebody to be sitting there bored like, is this thing ever going to end? But I feel like I should tell you this. I was literally sitting there saying, Lord, help me to know. You cannot serve God the way you were designed and purposed to if you can't submit to a vision. Can't do it. Right? Really, when you think about salvation, that's what it is. God didn't say, again, I'll use Rodney because I know, hey, Rod, what do you think is the best way? How shall I let you get to heaven? And you pick your way and we'll let somebody else pick. No. Like, there's been a plan put in place. There's 2 teams. You're going to decide which team you want to get on. And if you're going to be on this one over here, this is how it's going to work. If you don't, like, you're not, right? It is what it is. So when you think about that, bad teammates always think about, I want my way, my preferences. This is how I think it should be done. And the only time a bad teammate gets aligned with the vision and stuff is when they happen to coincide. Otherwise, the bad teammates, they're going to do what they want to do, and they're going to be frustrated and complain about it. Listen, you're in a Christian school. We're on the people subject. Even if I didn't get to the last 2 points, I think it's important for you. You are at a Christian school. Nobody makes you be here. Nobody's making you be here. You're not teaching here, or working campus here, or working IT here, or whatever it is, because there's no other teaching jobs. If you think that, you're crazy. Just see me afterwards. I can tell you places I've lived, people we know. I've got friends who are principals. They're dying for teachers. There are other teaching jobs. You don't have to be here if you can't get in line with what's going on or if you can't buy into it. Why did you do this? You picked Steffner Christian because of the money it pays. That's what it is. Right. I knew it. That's not true. If you're like, hey, this is the best money job I can find, like, come on. Come on. So in saying that, well, it's funny, and I think it's funny too. I say that sometimes even in my job, right? Like, there's lots of things I can do to make more money. But I'm there for a reason. You're here for a reason. You are not choosing to maybe make less than what you could, or, oh, this is the only teaching job I can get, when there's zillions of them out there. Zillions of teaching jobs. You're not just doing that for any crazy reason. You're doing that at some level because you believe you're supposed to be here. And if you believe you're supposed to be here, you need to act like that. You need to work like that. You need to teach like that. You're in the environment you are in because you have chosen to be here. And do you realize people are paying money to send their kids here? If it's just about learning algebra, they can do that at public school for free. They don't have to have a Christian school to do that. So they're paying money to be here instead of going to get the same thing for free. You know why that is? Because they don't want the same thing. They want something different. They want something better. And they're paying for that. That's your customer, so to speak. And so you have to think about that. You should be better, act better, talk better, think better, because you are. Because you are. Because of what the Lord's done in your life, where He's brought you to with other believers. Like, you got a chance to represent your team. I said, hey, Youngstown, we get a woo-woo, right? Hey, we're on God's team, and you should be proud of that, and you should operate like that, you should act like that, and you should move forward in that way. All right. Sorry. Didn't mean to get on the soapbox. Okay, we're moving along. Point 4 here. We're going to problems. Don't get too scared, but every trip, doesn't matter how good the ride is, there's some stuff that's going to go wrong, right? You're going to get a flat tire. You're going to have a fender bender. I always think about when I go on a trip, my kids, my wife maybe go with me, I'm going to lose my keys. You know, something's going to happen. We're 15 minutes late. I want to be on time because I'm task driven, but I can't figure out where my keys are at. But I'm thinking about those things, whatever they are. There's going to be a fight at school. You're going to have to suspend a kid. A kid gets caught cheating on a test. There's boy-girl issues. Whatever it is, you're going to have to deal with those. Problems are on the trip. Don't get it twisted. We're not going on a perfect thing. So I would tell you, you're going to need to respond with discipline because you got to hold people to standards, but you also got to respond with love. We're back to the fruits of the Spirit. That's how you got to respond. You need both. It's not discipline or love. It's both. They actually coincide and work together. Now, the easy and most common response to this is going to be the coach. This is hard. I mean, some of these situations are tough. It is hard. It is tough. And when I think about that, I think so is working in sales. So is college coaching. So is teaching at a public school. It's hard to be, I was telling my kids last week, it's hard to be fit. Because you got to spend money, you got to go to the gym, cost you time, you got to eat right, whatever. It's also hard to be overweight because it costs you maybe money and health issues and pains, and it's tough. It's hard to be rich. It's hard. It's also hard to be poor. So really, as I start going through that, what I think about is life is hard. No matter what you're doing, where you're at, life's hard. Everyone, I used to tell our teams all the time, they'd say, Coach, this is hard, this is tough. And I'd say, you know what's just hard? Winning championships. You better figure out if you're going to be a champion, if you're going to become a champion, if you're trying to make that who you're becoming, you better figure out how to do that. So I got to thinking about, if everybody else is facing hard, if all of us in the room are facing hard, if all the people outside the room are facing hard, what's the difference between the champs and the people who aren't champs? What's the difference between the successful people and the people who are just average? How you handle hard. The women's coach at Duke gave a great speech one time about handle hard better. That's what you have to do. You have to handle hard better. Everybody's going to face hard. Everybody's going to face difficulties, but you got to handle hard better. That's the mindset of a champion. It's the mindset of successful people. It's the mindset of overcomers. They handle hard better. And so, Amy and I, because we have so many friends in education, we have friends that are principals and teachers and so on and so forth, administrators, work at school boards in different places because we've lived in 5 or 6 different states. We were talking about what is typically known in most schools as one of the most dangerous places on campus is the teacher break room. Right? And so you think about that, that's like the negativity command center. That's like the complaining capital of campus. Right? I got to thinking about that and I said to her, you know what I think would be, what that would look like in a championship school? You know what I think that would look like for elite, successful teachers and faculty and staff and administration? Is like they would flip that and say, hey, at Steffner Christian, it's the safest place on campus. That's the most encouraging spot on campus. Why? They're going to take that and they flip what is bad and negative and make it something great, because that's what championship people do. They take tough situations, hard problems, and they do what average people can't do, and they flip it and they make it great. And so it's a challenge for you. I don't know if it's your break room. I don't know where it is, what that looks like here. Hopefully you don't have one. That would be amazing. But if you have that spot, like somebody say, hey, we're changing this. We're doing something different. We're not riding like that. Right? And we make that happen. Losers gather in small groups and they talk about winners. Winners gather in small groups. They talk about solutions to problems. How to get better. How to grow. How to elevate even another level. Last thing. 1.5. We're talking about panorama. That's Dwaine Osborne searching for my last P because it was about scenery. Right? But you got to enjoy the ride. You got to be in the moment. You got to... I had an assistant, an older assistant. He was about 25 years older than me. This has been almost 20 years ago. He used to say all the time, you got to experience the experience. And when he said that, I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. And now I have to call him back and say, ooh, pretty profound. Experience the experience. So when you go through this, you have goals for your kids. They're progressing towards them. We need you to be encouraging, keep pushing them, see that they're making progress. You need to enjoy the fact that you're helping them do that. There's these scenic views along the way. Dwaine Osborne has to be careful that I don't say, hey, we're going to the Grand Canyon. Then the next day we're going to Yellowstone. And I drive and I finally get to the Grand Canyon and the sign's up there. And guess what happens? Oh, we're here? Okay, let's go. We're headed to Yellowstone. No, that's not going to make the Grand Canyon experience very good. Right? So you got to be there, be in the moment, think about that, and do a good job. Culture's built in moments. Right? And you need to understand that again, that as you go through this, culture isn't built in a day, but it is built daily. It's an everyday chipping away at it, making it great, making it better, improving on it. And so you're going to work hard, you're going going to push, but we're also going to enjoy the ride. We're going to enjoy the scenery. We're going to celebrate the successes as we go. Now, I want to give you quickly, this is one of these things that I'm going to talk about, Acts 2, 42 through 47. I'm not going to spend, hopefully, 30 seconds on it, which is terrible because I would love to do a deep dive on this. But I want you to just commit yourself to going home and reading this. This has become one of my favorite passages in the last 6 months. I'm going to read this super fast to you. And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and prayers. And awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together, breaking the bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God, having favor with all people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. Now, I gave it, if I had the time, this one has, it's a little bit hard to see, but there are certain things highlighted. Here's what I want you to think about. When I look at this passage, and maybe as you start reading it, it comes to you as well. I thought about together, together, together. Every day, every person, everything. Together, together, together. Every day, every person, everything. That to me is about culture. That's like one of the best culture passages I've ever seen in Scriptures. It's amazing, right? So I would encourage you, Acts 2:42 through 47, maybe take a look at that. Okay? We're getting to the conclusion here. And so what I want to try to do is think back at the start. We talked about going through this season, best ride ever. As I go back and we spent time after the season, we talked about that year and the excitement and the fun and just how that season went. And we started to think about maxing the moment, what that looks like. We would talk about, hey, every weightlifting session, most important one of the year. It's Monday morning 6. This is the most important one. It's September. We don't play till November. Most important session ever. Tuesday morning, you're back at 6. You got to get yourself convinced that this is actually the one that matters the most. And we take Wednesday off. We come back Thursday. Guess what we're telling ourselves Thursday morning? You better figure out how to get yourself ready and everybody's ready because this is the one that's going to decide. Right? So as we go through maxing the moment, we would talk about that with film, with every class you go to, with every practice we have, with every game we play. Those things are super important. And so we thought about the game winners. We thought about the comebacks. We thought about times we went to Frostburg. We played terrible. We come back in the last 2 minutes. We played good out of a 40-minute game for 2 minutes. We win at the end because we were so much more talented. It's just like, oh, we flip the switch and we go. And I watched the film of that. I was so frustrated in the locker room after the game. I mean, I'm like, we might as well just cancel. It's December. The tournament's not till March. We should cancel the season. We're just not very good. Can't figure it out. You can't play hard all the time. Whatever it was, right? You think about all those things you go out and say, we figured out how to go 29-5. And when regular season championship, the tournament championship, so how do you do that? Here at Steffner Christian, I think you have all you need. I think you got everything you need. My kids went to Christian school basically from about 3rd grade on, multiple schools again because of us moving and things like that. I think you have what you need. Again, you've got vision, you've got values, you've got people that I know, not great, but know a couple people that are here, know their families, from where my wife went to Clearwater Christian College in Clearwater when it was still in effect. And I think that you just have so many more resources and access here than so many Christian schools I've been to. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I would tell you, I don't know if he's going to like me telling you, but I would put some pressure on that guy. If I needed something that I thought was going to help me be a better teacher for my kids, if I thought this was going to help my kids be better, learn better, be safer, whatever that looks like, I would make him tell me no. I would ask him, we got to have this. Go to them, ask. Sometimes people just assume, especially in Christian schools, well, we just don't have the resources. Well, we just don't have the funds. Whatever that looks like, I would make him tell you no. That's what I would do. Okay? Now, comes down then at that point to execution, striving for excellence, just refusing to lose. We're not having a bad trip. We're going to have not only a great one, the best one ever. And so let me tell you a story and then we'll be finished. My friend is a leadership consultant. And he went, it's been probably a decade or so ago now, and the Pittsburgh Pirates had been bad, and they're moving along. Clint Hurdle's their manager. They're getting better. Clint Hurdle, the manager of the Pirates, brings him in to do consulting work and work with their team. So he's in and out of there for 5 to 10 day stints. throughout the course of the year. Travels with them in the clubhouse, going to practice, sitting in the dugout, whatever it is. So he goes up one time. It's early in his working with them, and they have a facility there on site where when they're doing the training camps and the things like that, they get the team together. They have everyone there, and they have a place where they can go in and eat breakfast, and they've got the locker room, they've got all these things kind of hooked together, nice and convenient. So he goes in the first day, he's going to be there 4 or 5 days. He goes in to the cafeteria, he meets Clint Hurdle for breakfast. They're standing in line. Some guys are going to this line, some are to this line, on the station over here. He decides with Clint, they're going to go get an omelet. So they go to get the omelet, and they're standing in line talking. As they get closer, he's like, man, this guy, says to Clint Hurdle, this guy's working. Right? He's got 4 or 5 burners going. He's taking the next order. He's greeting everyone. Goes through and gets up there. The guy says, hey, are you new? He says, well, I'm not really with staff, I'm consultant here, whatever. He's like, oh, well, welcome, whatever. What can I get you? So he says, hey, I'll have eggs, cheese, bacon, sausage, and no onions, whatever it is. Tells him, gets his omelet, goes and sits down. They sit down, they talk for a while. During the meal, he's like, it's an omelet guy. That guy he's on it. Pretty good stuff. Food's great. He's like, yeah, he's unbelievable. Next day, they come back, same thing. They decide to go to the omelet station again. He gets back up there, and the omelet man says, hey, how'd your first day go? Tells them about it a little bit. They're talking, bantering back and forth. He says, hey, you want the same thing? And he said, yeah, I have an omelet. Tells them what it is. Hey, I want this, no this. Okay, third day comes, same thing, gets up there. The guy's like, hey, how's your trip going so far, whatever. He says, hey, you want your omelet? And recites it back to him. On day 3. He sits down and he eats, and he said, I'm in the middle of my third day, and I'm thinking like, what is it? Like, that guy is unbelievable. So, day 4, things are winding down. He gets there a little bit later to breakfast. Clint's already gone through. Goes to the line and says, hey, I'm going to go see my guy on the station. It's been great. I'll just have it. He gets over there. And so they're talking because the line's much shorter. He's at the end of the line. They start to have a conversation as the omelet's being made. He says to the omelet man, wouldn't it be crazy if you had any idea how many omelets you made? The guy says, oh, I know that. He goes, what do you mean? Like, do you know, like, you count them, or how do you know that? He said, well, yeah, I count them. I keep track of them. On Monday, I did 164. On Tuesday, I did 138. On Wednesday, I did 162, whatever the numbers were. And today, right now, I'm at 112. He's blown away. He says to the omelet man, why do you know that? What in the world would make you know that? He said, we're trying to win a World Series. When I thought about that and heard that story for the first time, blown away. The omelet man says, we are trying to win the World Series. You know how many at-bats the omelet man gets? You know how many times he throws a pitch? You know how many times he jogs out to shortstop, center field? Pinch hit, pinch run, 0. Be pretty easy for that guy to say, I don't really have a whole lot of effect on the outcome, I'm just making my omelets. That guy said, hey, we're trying to win a World Series. I think, as Steffner Christian, you should be doing the same thing. I think we're trying to take the best ride ever. It's going to be the best one ever. So I think as you're going through it, whatever area responsibility you've been given, you got to dominate it. You got to understand it can't be the best ride ever if you don't do your part in making sure the ride goes as well as it can. And the omelet man's job was to make those omelets, and he made sure everybody got to experience joy in the morning, eggs cooked fresh and put together the way they wanted it, and remember their orders, and so on and so forth, because the guy's trying to win the World Series. You're trying to take the best ride ever, right? Okay, let's ride. Coach.
All right, we've been coached. All right, he's given us a lot, and he's going to spend a little bit of time with the coaches, just a little bit of time today with the coaches, just about program building and taking a few questions before you guys get started. But I'm appreciative of that. We've actually been on the phone probably for about a month, And when I asked him if he would come and speak, a lot of times you'll ask someone to come and speak. So when you hear him talk, this is the reason I want to tell this, is when you hear him talk and he says some things, I just want to tell you that he's living it out. I talk to him, and most of the time someone will show up and they just show up and speak. He's called me almost every day. Tell me about elementary. Can you tell me about junior high? He got here and gave me our mission and vision. He researched, there were so many pieces in there that he researched, and then he said, hey, I'm flying in. He got in here late, he goes, I got to see your campus. And so the reason I mentioned that to you is because it wasn't something that he just, Sunday night was like, let's go for a ride. Okay? We worked through a lot of this. In fact, I said, all right, if we're going to go on a ride, let's do some roller coaster thing. And he goes, no, it's too short. It's wild. I know you drop, you do circles, and then it's over. Can't do that. And I said, all right, we'll decorate with an RV. He goes, can't do an RV. Not everybody jumps in an RV. And the reason I mention this too is because we walked ourselves through it. And the reason why you got cars out, just a picture. And you say, well, why is that? I really want day 45 for us to remember what we talked about. Here's what happens with themes. Come December, I'll say, what's our theme? You're like, say it away. And you're not going to be wrong. But that's what you'll do because we talk about that a lot and it's all over the place. Because sometimes we get something at the beginning. Hopefully, listen, if you're here and you didn't get something from it, just go get some encouragement. Go get Marshall Martin and hang out with it for a little bit, all right? Okay, then come back in, you'll be fine. All right? But you should go away with something that says, what did he say? Man, I'm the guy who wants to win a World Series, right? Okay, so Dwaine, thank you so much for that. I took notes. I've read those books, and so they are great books to read and to kind of go through. I'm going to ask you to do two things for me within this. When we talk about do hard things, I'm going to ask you to do two things. I'm going to really try to hold kids accountable, and when I say hold kids accountable, I'm not adding a line in our handbook. I'm not giving detentions out for this, but I'm going to hold them accountable. I'm going to do hard things, all right, when I say this. But two things I'm going to ask this year for us to add to our list is that there are no shortcuts. No shortcuts. You, as an individual here, is, if we have a sidewalk, you take it. I'm just going to ask you to stay out the grass. If you can walk from point A to point B and you see a sidewalk, use the sidewalk. All right? Why? Because I'm going to ask our students to. You say, well, why? One, I do think it teaches something. But two, let me tell you what else it does. It keeps the sand off our floors. When you keep the sand off our floors, you're telling operations, I can't. All right? So that's one thing I'd like us to do. All right? Do hard things. Here's a second one. I would like for trash to never hit the ground. This is a huge change for us now. Okay? All right? Now, personally, I've always taken my own trash out. Personally. All right? Here, I really just had to because Carmen would come by and see me several times a day. All right? It'd be like, I was like, there wasn't anything in it. She's good. She's good. But what I mean by that is, teachers, don't walk out and drop your trash. We're going to ask you to walk somewhere. Christy Chambliss has placed trash bins all over the campus that look really nice. So we're going to ask you just to walk down there, lift the lid, and put it in there. We've got them located, so just ask us where they are. Coaches, when it overflows in your dugout, you have these big dudes. Tell them to pick it up and take it. If there's nowhere, we have huge garbage bins up in the area here. Throw in the back of a pickup truck and get it there. All right? These are little things. Again, no shortcuts. Let's get the trash off the ground from ever hitting it, because we have some healthy possums. Like our cats around here love life. They're running over and getting their friends. Come on, man, you gotta come over here to the buffet. All right? So remember, there's two things. All right, when we talk about what are we packing and so forth, I want it to be a great ride. Everybody hear me? I want to get into February and someone say, that's right up. All right, and sometimes you got to talk yourself into it. We get to February and it's been a bad year. I want you to look at me and say, that's right up. And we're just going to say it until we like it. And we're going to smile and be like, yeah! All right? Sometimes I get with people and I'll just keep talking until I smile. Okay? All right? And if you've been that guy on a trip, you know it. I've been the guy. I get in the car, I'm mad, I'm driving down the road, Angela's singing, the kids are singing, and I'm like, wow, let's sing it! I don't sing that, but then I do. And then all of a sudden I got to smile because, I'm the leader, I got to be a Christian. But And I'm mad. Why? Because I'm just the opposite. Don't plan anything for me. I want arbitrary side trips. All right? Where we go? We gotta be there at 1. Okay. We'll get there at 1:30. All right? Again, I don't do that anymore. Maybe not. I don't. You have to